EACC Math Lesson number 19. Today we're going to be solving quadratic equations by factoring. Now, down here is a quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. That's already in standard form. That's our first step when we're doing this process. Now, the quadratics we're going to be looking at, this leading coefficient is going to be 1. So they're going to be really basic quadratics. After you get it in standard form, the next step then is to factor. And then once we have it factored, since it's equal to 0, we're going to use what's called the zero product property. In other words, if I'm multiplying two numbers together and I get the answer of 0, that tells me that either this one's 0 or that one's 0 or they're both equal to 0. Okay, so here's again the steps written out in a more organized fashion. Solving quadratics by factoring. Write the equation with 0 on the right hand side. Again, this is called the standard form. Make sure it's set equal to 0. Factor the left hand side, so you're going to look for your two binomials. Those are still going to be equal to 0. Set each factor equal to 0. That's your zero product property. Solve the simple equations and then make sure to check your answers in the original equation. Go back to the very beginning, because if you made a simple mistake in setting it equal to 0, you'll catch it then. Okay. Let's look at an example here already written out for us. As you can see, our quadratic x squared plus 2x minus 15 is equal to 0. So it's already in standard form. I'm going to abbreviate that STD. So standard form, we're good. All right. Next, you factor. And again, remember the keys for factoring. We're looking for two numbers we can multiply together to get negative 15, but add up to positive 2 in the middle. So here we've chosen negative 3 and positive 5. So x minus 3 times x plus 5 will give me my x squared plus 2x minus 15. Next, we set each factor equal to 0. And that gives us two simple equations to solve. And we do that. And then there's our solution set, and we should go back and check it then. All right, so standard form, factor, set the factors equal to 0, and solve. Okay, next example. Let's solve x squared minus 2x minus 8 is equal to 0. Okay, this is already in standard form for us, so we can go right to our factoring. So I'm looking for two numbers I can multiply together to get negative 8, but they add up to negative 2 here in the middle. So I'm going to set up my binomials. Those are equal to 0. Let's see here. I know that 2 times 4 is 8, and if I make one of those negative and one positive, I'll get a negative 8, and I want it to be a negative 2 sum, so I'm going to make the 4 negative and the 2 positive. Now I'm going to double check. Foiling, there's my x squared, positive 2x, negative 4x, that's a negative 2x, and negative 8 on the end. All right, setting each factor equal to 0 then. And solving, here I'm going to add 4 to each side, so one solution is x equals 4. Here I need to subtract 2 from each side, so my other solution is x is equal to negative 2. Let's do a quick check here. Substituting 4 back into the original equation, 4 squared is 16, minus 2 times 4, which is minus 8, and then minus another 8. 16 minus 8 is 8, 8 minus 8 is 0, and 0 is equal to 0, so it works. Substituting negative 2 in, negative 2 squared is 4. Negative 2 times negative 2 is another positive 4, and then minus 8, is that equal to 0? 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 take away 8 is 0, so that solution also works. Okay, next example. Here we want to solve x squared minus 3x minus 4 is equal to negative 6. Okay, with this one, I don't have it in standard form yet. So I need to get this equal to 0. So I'm going to add a 6 here, and then I need to add 6 over here too. So we end up with x squared minus 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. Okay, now we've got our standard form. Factoring then, setting up my binomials. Again, I'm looking for factors of positive 2 that add up to negative 3. Well, to get a positive product and a negative sum, both numbers have to be negative. So in this case, I'm going to use x minus 1 and x minus 2. Doing a quick check with FOIL, here's x squared, negative 2x, negative 1x, so there's negative 3 in the middle, and negative 1 times negative 2 is a positive 2. All right, setting each factor equal to 0 then. Solving, here we get x is equal to 1, and here we get x is equal to 2. And if I check those will both work, so we're good. All right, now, suppose we're faced with this problem. Suppose we're told the solutions for a quadratic are a positive 3 and a negative 5. And we want to find the original quadratic. Okay, well, let's work backwards. If I know that 3 was a solution, that means that x minus 3 had to be one of the factors. And if I know negative 5 is a solution, that means x minus a negative 5 or x plus 5 was the other factor. And set it equal to 0. Now I simply FOIL these together, so I get x squared plus 5x minus 3x minus 15 is equal to 0. So my original quadratic is x squared plus 2x minus 15. Okay, so remember this, if you know the factors, or excuse me, if you know the solutions, you can come up with the factors. If 3 is a solution, then x minus 3 is a factor. So if you know that c is a solution, then x minus c is a factor. Okay? All right. So let's walk through our steps again for solving quadratics. We're going to, again, be looking at a very basic quadratic, x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So that's your first step. Make sure it's in standard form. Next, we're going to factor these quadratics, x plus or minus something, x plus or minus something. Third, we're going to set each factor equal to 0. When is this one equal to 0? When is this one equal to 0? Next, we're going to solve, and then we're going to check our solutions. If we're given that a solution, let's say is the number n, that means that x minus n is a factor. Okay? All right. You've got some work to do in front of you. And as always, if you have questions or need extra help, let me know. But as for right now, this is the end.